After having presumably landed in Hollow Bastion, Sora, Donald, and Goofy run into frame from actually nowhere as the space behind them is blocked by the wall of a rundown building and there's nowhere they could have come from. Some Heartless are chillin' on a roof, pondering life's big questions. Goofy notices them and surmises that the group will have to fight Heartless in this world, which needed to be said, I guess. After wandering around the town square and buying none of the useless items, we run into Uncle Scrooge's tail feathers. Goofy explains that before the Heartless showed up, Donald's uncle traveled the worlds with King Mickey, setting up a transit system, which I'm assuming didn't pan out because we're the only ones flying through space out here and I didn't see any bus stops along the way. Uncle Scrooge is lamenting his failure at recreating his favorite ice cream from when he was a wee lad, which is Scottish for little boy who was molested. He licks a colored monstrosity in his hand and sadly deems it terrible. He could probably recreate vanilla and still strike it rich. There seems to be a sea salt monopoly on ice cream in this game. People would probably line up around the corner for strawberry. Walking into town, a strange technological entity appears, phasing in and out of the ground and startling Sora. A voice calls down saying it's the town's defense mechanism, and who could it be but Yuffie, in an unfortunately less revealing outfit this time. She yells, "Look out!" as a group of Dusks spawn in and envelop us in a skirmish that Yuffie herself decides not to participate in. Once we dispatch them, she jumps down like, "Hey, I see you guys are still in top form." And then they don't chastise her for being the world's laziest, unhelpful ninja. She tells them Leon and the others are at Merlin's house, and we wade through a few more enemies to get there. What awaits us inside is a few horrendous voice recasts and a first-time cast for Sid, who is also bad, as he sits at his computer doing what could never be described as typing. Let me just play you a few choice line deliveries in this one scene alone.
It doesn't matter. This is great. Everyone's together again.
Hollow Bastion's got a problem. A big problem. Follow me to the Bailey. There's something you need to see.
The new Leon says every line like he's reading it to himself for the first time, and the new Aerith sounds like her soul got sucked out of her cooter. My working theory is that between games 1 and 2, Aerith lost her heart like Kairi, and people just haven't noticed yet. The groups greet each other, and Leon propositions Sora about helping out a bit around here. Merlin shows up, learns that we've forgotten all our magic for the second time, and says he'll lend us a few spells, which means Blizzard, and that's it, because he's fucking senile. Once we follow Leon to the Bailey, he shows us this giant sprawling tower with about 1,000,000 Heartless at its base. He says they have a lot of work to do to restore Hollow Bastion to what it once was, and they think they can handle everything, except for that. That would have worked on its own, but then he points to like 2 Dusks taking a stroll through the canyon and says, "And that." What do you mean, and that? There's 2 dudes. You can't handle that? Just kill them. Or better yet, let them live their lives free of your homophobic judgment, okay? Sora and Goofy fill Leon in on the backstory of this quest, and when Organization 13 is mentioned, a deep off-screen voice goes, "You called?" A bunch of nobodies start spawning in, and we must protect the ironclad yet somehow flimsy gate into town from being destroyed. During this battle, we're introduced to a new kind of nobody, a samurai, or a duelist, or a weeb, I forget what they're called. But when you block an attack of theirs, they have a special reaction command called Duel Stance that tasks you with going into your command list and quickly reacting to which slot becomes the end. Then if you press triangle on it instead of X because you have bad instincts, you'll fail and get sliced to ribbons. Do it successfully, though, and the enemy will be the one getting unwilling seppuku inflicted on they ass. The fight ends, and Mr. Sex Voice goes, "The Keyblade, a truly marvelous weapon. Were it only in more capable hands." Then other voices of laughter can be heard ringing out, and this is the moment when Xemnas abandoned his pursuit of Kingdom Hearts to realize his new dream of becoming a stand-up comedian. Sora's like, "Show yourselves!" and they oblige his request. 6 black-hooded individuals lined up in a line, and something I appreciate is that each of them is visually distinct in their build or how they carry themselves. You could probably identify all of them just from this shot if you were a bigger nerd than me. Can they still be called Organization 13, though, if they've lost half their members? A more fitting name at this point would be Big Hero 6. After a little more banter, they all vanish, but one of them reappears to block Sora, Donald, and Goofy from following them, as if we could know where they're going, and what follows is one of the worst back-and-forths in Kingdom Hearts history, admittedly. Just terrible dialogue from beginning to end. In fact, I won't be needed for this part, because it's a joke all itself.
Oopsie daisy. Move! Now, do you think that's polite? Shutting me down like that?
I said get out of the way!
As if. You can talk all you want, but that won't change a thing. See, that would work if I were just any old dude. Except I'm not. I'm with the organization. Nothing any old about me.
Huh, tough talk for someone who stood on the sidelines while his nobody flunkies did the fighting.
Oh dear. I think you got the wrong impression.
You gonna cry?
As if. Why don't I remind you how tough the crowd you're dealing with really is?
Remind me?
That's right! He used to give me that same exact look.
I guess you think you can psych me out by saying really random stuff.
Gee, I just don't know. Be a good boy now.
Yeah, I just made you watch that whole scene. You gonna cry? And don't say as if. Sora takes out the Hollow Bastion Restoration Committee honorary member card he got from Leon back at Merlin's house when they were all cold reading their scripts, and it begins to suddenly glow. It floats up into the sky, Sora locks it with his Keyblade, and that means he can travel to other worlds now because so that's Hollow Bastion done, which means next up will be somewhere else. See ya next time!